Ripple XRP, we have the co-founder at Ripple, Chris Larsen, talking about the fact that Swift won't actually be lasting for this long, and we could potentially be seeing a new system coming into place. Now, we also have some other statements from Brad Garlinghouse at the Davos 2024 event, talking about the fact that we will be rebuilding trust and also being compliant in the space. We have a few other bits and pieces of news, and of course, we will be looking at the price action for XRP coin today. So all I ask from you are two things, which is to smash that like button and to subscribe to the channel as well. So first things first, we have Chris Larsen talking about the fact that Swift's system is very old. Of course, I think it has been pointed out many times now. However, it is important to remember the fact that Swift is still the biggest player. I mean, it does conduct trillions in terms of the amounts when it comes to the cross-border payments, and so I don't think that this whole system will be eradicated. However, he says over here that the correspondent banking will not be in use over the next 2 decades.
System. And we all know that the financial system we have today, it's creaky, it's old, it's from the 70s. Swift and correspondent banking is not going to be the system we're going to be living with over the next 2 decades, right? Way too slow, error prone, it's too closed off, it's too expensive. And I tell you, China is just itching to be the one that designs this next system. They've committed $1.4 trillion to a variety of technologies, and blockchain is right on the top of their list. And you go down the kind of inventory of where China is today, it's impressive. They're doing a great job. And nothing against China here. We got to admire what they've done, right?
And this is no bias from Ripple at all. I mean, many other people have pointed out this fact and flaw in the Swift systems. I do believe that Swift was actually founded in the 1970s. And so we are roughly around about just over 50 years later now. And how can the old system potentially compete with this ever-evolving industry? We actually have a statement from Credit Suisse, and they have said that interbank payment systems such as Swift are old, inflexible, slow, and increasingly prone to cyber attacks at a time when banks are under tremendous pressure to cut costs and protect customer data from hackers, which blockchain could achieve. So not only do we have players, for example, like Ripple point this out, but we also have these major banks as well that are identifying the fact that Swift really isn't the best option anymore, and the fact that we should actually be moving to blockchain technology, which we know is able to actually provide these solutions. And so it only makes sense. We obviously want high speed when it comes to these transactions and cheaper costs, but we also want the security to be pretty high as well, and Swift can't really compete. They can't really deliver that now. It is pretty much outdated. I don't think that Swift will be erased at all. It's just the fact that we are seeing these problems with the speed and other things, and also the fact that the standard Swift transfer can actually take days to be completed. It's just not up to date with the times, and so obviously the industry has to evolve in order to keep up. Now we have a few statements from Brad Garlinghouse in this mini speech. He does talk about the theme of rebuilding trust is paramount, and we have to have that compliance first mentality.
The theme of rebuilding trust is paramount, and I think that applies to crypto as well. Last year's year was a lot of headwinds, some self-inflicted wounds, but I think as we rebuild trust with the ecosystem, with the major players, I think the future is extremely bright. 2024 is going to be marked with the reversion to kind of core first principles, recognizing that compliance in crypto and all financial services is very important. And I think to build that trust and to really scale into the opportunity that crypto represents, we have to have that compliance first mentality. The primary thing I'm looking forward to in Davos is staying warm. It's definitely a cold year, a little more snow than previous years. No, Davos always, I think, stimulates ideas. I'm mostly thinking about the crypto industry and Ripple specifically, but certainly what's going on a geopolitical basis and with climate are front and center here in Davos, which is obviously very important.
So as we know, time and time again, Brad Garlinghouse has always spoken about the fact that we as an industry are trying to be compliant in the crypto space. We're all trying to play by the rules here. And as you can see, he says that in the US, crypto is spending more time in the judicial process to get clarity, while the other biggest financial centers in the world are actively codifying rules. Most players in this industry want to follow the rules, but you'll never hear Chair Gensler acknowledge that. So as you know, when it comes to the US, unfortunately, we're having to go through these lawsuits in order to gain clarity, whereas other countries are actually doing it by actually providing these rules and standards, which obviously makes sense. Not only that, but in terms of the amount of time and the cost of money as well that it takes to actually go through these lawsuits. Now, when it comes to rebuilding the trust, unfortunately, we have gone through that lawsuit now for the past couple of years. And so for some people in the crypto space, it may actually take quite a bit of time to rebuild trust in relation to Ripple XRP because of the fact that it has actually been tarred with the wrong brush and it has been painted in a negative light. And so I think that we will have to be rebuilding the trust in terms of that, and also in terms of the lawsuit case that they're still going through right now. We still have a couple of months left to that, and I think that we should be concluding roughly around about in May or June time. So that is basically something that we're going to be doing in half of the year, but I think that Ripple XRP should be making a very strong comeback. And with that being said, in terms of rebuilding the trust, we do know that Grayscale have actually added XRP into one of their funds, and I think the fund is called the Digital Large Cap Fund.
I think we're going to see a lot of filings come out for Ethereum. I even think we might see something for Ripple, given the recent progress. You notice that Grayscale just added Ripple to one of their trusts that's publicly traded. So it wouldn't surprise me if we saw Ripple or Ethereum spot ETFs out there.
And then there have been a few predictions as to whether we could be seeing an Ethereum or an XRP spot ETF for this year. I think that an Ethereum ETF could potentially be coming out in Q2 or Q3 of this year. I don't think that it'll be likely that we'll be having an XRP ETF coming out for this year. Actually, maybe somewhat later down the line. But regardless of that, in terms of Grayscale's position, I think that their XRP now comprises of 2.54% of their fund. Whilst that is obviously not as large of a percentage compared to the Bitcoin holding that they have, it still is something, as they've actually added XRP, and I believe that they took off Polygon and Matic. In terms of the updates for BRICS, you'll see over here that Russia has said that over 30 countries are interested in approaching BRICS. The Gold Telegraph concluded, until they officially join, many in the West will continue to laugh. That is okay until it is not. I mean, some people are not taking the BRICS alliance seriously because it may be some while now until they actually ditch the US dollar. I mean, again, they do actually have to come to some sort of agreement into what currency they're going to be trading in. And also what we have to consider the fact as well is if Saudi Arabia are actually able to get on board, then it will be a big thing, because we know that they provide oil, and usually when it comes to the trades, that is in the US dollar, and decide to actually ditch the US dollar, then it could potentially have negative impacts and actually weaken the dollar itself. Before we have a look at the price action today, I just want to show you Chad Starting Grabber's missed opportunity. He says over here that it's funny because I was a stock trader back in the 2000s and ETS when Kramer effed me by saying don't buy Apple or Amazon, and he's still annoyed by that. I don't think that I would just be annoyed by that. I think I would be thinking about that every single day. I'm probably really frustrated that I don't even know if I would actually trade anymore. I think we all know by now to not actually listen to Jim Cramer. Now, if we talk about Apple and Amazon stock, I believe in the 2000s, Apple was a penny stock, I think, and Amazon was roughly around about a couple of dollars, probably $3 to $4. Relatively inexpensive stocks. Of course, that was only the beginning of Apple and Amazon in terms of their businesses. And so maybe many people didn't believe it, but this is a type of thing that happens to you and stops you from building upon wealth when you listen to these people, especially when we know that Kramer is essentially a paid puppet. So let's take a look at the price action for today. As you can see, we are trading at 0.5486. We are down by 0.28% on the one-day chart. For the volume, we are up by 4.47%, and we are trading at $1.1 billion. So if we have a look at the early hours of the morning, as you can see, we were trading at 0.5401, and then we actually came back up slightly, and we did hit 55 cents today a couple of hours ago. Now on the 7-day chart, we are down by 4.61%, and you'll see over here compared with the price of yesterday that we were actually at that 0.5469, and then we obviously took that hit over here to 0.526, and so we pretty much lost just under 2 cents. Now that is the lowest that we have gone to for quite some time, and it is pretty close to that 50-cent mark. If we have a look at the 1 month chart, we are down by 11.64%, and if we actually have a look at this graph on the 3rd of January, we were at a nice 0.6352. We did actually come down to 0.5551, and then we went up to 0.6189. So we were actually making these little comebacks after we were dropping at 5 cents, but with this new low over here at 0.5266, we could actually be hovering at this 54-cent level and then potentially be hitting that price again, possibly in the next couple of days to 52 cents, and then making a newer low at 50 cents, as we have basically lost this momentum. However, what I'm actually trying to see is if XRP coin can somewhat stay strong within that 54 to 56 cent level where it is pretty much hovering. Again, let's see if we can maintain that and if it will be our support level. Guys, if you want daily Ripple XRP coin news, subscribe to the channel and like the video as well.